Today on Civil Society, we're talking about the refugee experience in Central Texas. I'll be talking first with Désiré Nizigiyimana, a former magistrate in Burundi who escaped a dangerous situation with his family, arriving here in 2012, and now lives here in Austin and works to help others who seek asylum in the United States. I'll also be talking with Flor Castellanos with the Multicultural Refugee Coalition and Christina Collazo of Todos Juntas Learning Center. Both are working to help newcomers build a new life here in our Central Texas communities. All of that is coming up next on Civil Society. Welcome. I'm here with my first guest, Désiré Nizigiyimana. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. So I understand that you arrived in 2012, is that right?
Yes.
And you were a magistrate in Burundi, right?
Yes.
And you have a family, 2 children and a wife, yes?
Yes.
And you were in what kind of situation? What was your life like in Burundi before you came here?
My life was threatened to death by the National Intelligence Service because of a decision from my court where I was working.
Mm-hmm. So you made a decision in court and
yes, you know, when
the government turned against you?
Yes, you know, when a judge decide on something, he decide on the behalf of the whole nation.
Sure.
So we never say it was your decision, it was from my court, but I was the one among those who made that decision.
So you became a target in your country?
I became a target.
And as I understand it, there was a civil war, right? There was
Yes,
civil unrest between 2 groups.
Yes.
The Tutsi and the Hutu, is that right?
The Tutsi and Hutu.
Tutsi and
yes.
Hutu. And so as one came into power, they targeted you, is that right? And I heard you say that earlier when we were talking that there were actually posters with your picture around that you were a wanted man in your country.
Yes.
And were you ever captured or jailed?
Yeah, for the first time in my life, I was kidnapped. But
okay.
Before the kidnapping, I got many calls from people I didn't know.
Calls?
But probably from the National Intelligence Service.
Okay.
And they were telling me that I will get caught one day.
Okay, so you knew you were in danger.
I knew I was in danger, and I told this to my co-workers, judge, the president of our court, and even the Minister of Justice,
okay.
and some human rights group in my country.
And what did you say to your wife?
At first, my wife was in Bujumbura, hiding somewhere.
Hiding, okay.
Yes, and for 3 months we were separated with my kids, and I was alone in my house.
And then did they leave the country before you, or did you all leave together?
They left a day before I left the country.
Okay.
So I need to make sure they were out of the country.
Now,
so
did you go to an organization? Did you go to the UN? How did you get out of the country?
I got out of the country by my own because, you know, when I was kidnapped, I was tortured, and those people who tortured me thought I was dead, and they took me into a forest and then discussed about cutting up my head.
Did you listen to them say that?
I could hear them saying that because,
wow.
But I could not move. I was seriously injured.
Okay.
So, but I could hear what they were saying, and one of them didn't let them cut up my head. Then they left me at that place.
So they just left you for dead?
Yes, and then when I got my spirit back, I found that they had put something into my organs, and that was hard to take out. So I tried at first to take it out. It didn't go out. It was in my genitals, and was obliged to wait for hours to be able to get it out. So, and then it was night time. I was able to get a taxi from a closer place that took me back to my house. And that same night, my wife was obliged to quit the house. She was really afraid. Yes, okay. She left the house.
Understandably.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So then what was it like to come here? Was it an immediate change? Did you feel welcome? What was it like to arrive in America?
You know, at first, you know, you are in a country you never came in before. Mm-hmm. But I was the luckiest guy to meet with people who came to the airport to get us and then took us to a house. We didn't pay for that house for 6 months.
Wow. Was that here in Texas?
In Texas. Okay. We never moved from Austin. It was in Texas, Austin. Hmm. So that was Caritas.
The organization
Caritas of Austin, yes.
Sure.
So they provided us a house, put in everything that is needed to cook, to sleep on, beds, sheets, and many things. And then they were paying for our rent for 6 months.
Amazing.
So, yes.
I do want to point out that we actually had an additional guest from Caritas who was planning to come, and when he found that we were going to air the program and that it would be available on the internet, he had to choose not to because he still has family back in Iraq where he's from, and it became a dangerous situation. So this is something that many people are still dealing with. I'm so glad that you got out of Burundi, but I also want to make it clear that there are still so many people in the world trying to get out of where they are.
It's not easy to get out of your country. So you can be killed when you are trying to cross the border. Mm-hmm. Your neighbors may be your enemies, or some government agents who may know who you are and
well, I'm glad you got out.
To kill you.
And I'm glad you came here and found friendly faces.
I was lucky to.
We're going to bring some other people onto the panel and expand the conversation and talk not just about your experience, about different organizations that are working to help people in situations like yours, and about the work that you do also at Interfaith Texas as well.
Thank you very much.
So the 3 states accepting the most refugees in the U.S. are California, Texas, and New York, in that order. In 2016, according to Pew Research, California and Texas both accepted around 8,000 people, and New York took in almost 5,000. Welcome back. Now joining our conversation are Flor Castellanos with the Multicultural Refugee Center and Christina Collazo with Todos Juntas Learning Center. Welcome, ladies. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
So Desiree and I have been talking about his experience as a refugee coming to Central Texas. And I know that your work with MRC is really focused on job training and helping people find work. And is that a fair statement? Is that true?
Yes, we work towards helping refugees acquire livelihood and job opportunities that pair up skills they already come with opportunities that are important to the community.
Perfect. And Christina, you're Todos Juntos. You guys are focused on acculturation and integration and learning language and working as a family to integrate into Central Texas life. Is that a fair statement? Is that the way to describe it?
Yeah, Todos Juntos is all about providing social capital to the families that we work with, really helping to build up the family together at the same time.
What do you mean by social capital? Just give me a...
So a lot of the families that we work with many times are isolated. They don't have a network of support beyond their immediate familial connections. And so at the center, we're able to connect them with about 15 different organizations who come in-house to provide a variety of services, and sometimes services they don't even know that they need.
Oh, okay. So they learn language, right? And I know specifically with Todos Juntos, you teach together as a family, not kids over here and adults over here, but everyone learns together.
Right. Yeah.
And I love that.
Oh, thank you.
Can you tell me a little bit about how you came into this? Because I've had conversations with you in the past, and I know that in your childhood you ended up helping some people, and I wonder if you'll share a little bit about that.
Yeah. It's funny when that memory, the memory that I shared with you when we first met, it was something I hadn't thought of in years. And that day when you asked us to really think back to something that had happened in our lives that drew us to this line of work that we were in, I recalled that when I was a child growing up in South Texas, we lived right on the border of Mexico. And I remember so vividly this one afternoon, two gentlemen who were, in Spanish you say asoleados, they'd been in the sun for a very long time, walked up to my fence, and I was a young girl, and they came with an empty
To your back fence?
to my front fence.
Oh, okay.
To the front, yeah. I was
But to
happened to be
your
outside
home?
to my home. They walked up to my home and asked me if I could please get them some water. And I knew I was just supposed to help them, and I went inside and I washed out their jug and I filled it up with water, and I made them sandwiches. They didn't ask me for that. I just knew that
Just a
they
little
needed.
girl with a heart.
Yeah, and I guess I just always knew I was supposed to try to lend a hand up.
And so Todos Juntos is taking that experience and expanding it into help refugees and other people who come to Central Texas.
Yeah.
And then when they have moved here, your organization is helping them find work. What kind of work are they doing?
Yeah, so we focus on 3 different areas, them being interpreter training, agriculture, and textile manufacturing.
Okay.
So both of those are 3 different skills that they come with.
And so they're arriving with those skills, or are you giving them training on those skills?
So most of them already arrive with some level of skills within one of those 3 categories, and then we just train them up so that they are able to apply those skills at a job in Austin.
Oh, perfect. Okay. So Desiree, when you came here, when you were in Burundi, you were a magistrate, a judge, right?
Yes.
So what skills did you bring, or you can't just walk into Texas and say, I'm a judge and sit on a bench. So what did you do for work? How did you find work?
I've been working with refugees since I was at the end of my high school. I began working with CARE International back in Africa in 1994. During that period, it was like my first year of college. I was waiting to begin going to college. Then I got that chance to work with that organization. Mm-hmm. So I had this in my mind that a refugee is someone who really needs some help from everybody, so that he meet, like the very first day, you don't know where you are, you don't know what you can do, then you get someone who really.
So you came here and found friendly faces.
So that was in my mind, but I never knew that I was going to leave my country. I was someone strong, and I thought that nobody could touch me or send me out of my country.
So how did you view America, or outside of, I should say, outside of Burundi, whether it was America or not, before and now that you are out? Is there a difference between what you expected and what you've experienced?
What I expected before I came and what I'm experiencing is very different. When you come with your mind, you say, I've been a judge and lawyer, attorney, and I can do that in US, or that is nothing. You need to begin by the beginning and then figure out, you start over and get to know some group of people and try to compare what they are doing, like, and what you can Flor, do.
That have programs in place.
How I got in that refugee system, I was first sent to the ESL program at IACT, Interfaith. At IACT, Interfaith Action of Central Texas.
Okay.
Where I spent like 2 weeks, and then they said, you don't really need to be in our class. Maybe you can help us with translating.
You already knew English well.
Yes, that was what my language, because we are taught English from high school up to the university. So it doesn't sound like the American one, but we.
That's very interesting. For you, Christina, how many people who come here arrive knowing English? Is that unusual, or?
It's not as common, not in our experience. The majority of the families that we come are not native English, or they're not English speakers. We may get some who come in at maybe a higher level, like a level 4. But it's not the norm. We tend to get more students who are in our very beginning stages, and so via our partnership with ACC, we're able to provide them 4 levels of instruction, so that once they leave us, they'll hopefully be ready to,
We got a question on Facebook actually about this, not just language, but in terms of preserving your sense of where you're from. And one of the questions was, do you wish that you could go back and visit easily? Do you wish that you could go back and visit? Or do you visit? I should ask that.
I'm not visiting, but you know, I had that plan, but the system is not changing. The same system that sent me out is there.
Oh, it's still in
yes,
place. So
yeah.
you wouldn't
So
be
I
safe
think
then.
when they will quit, the very first week I will fly to my country and say
so
hi
you
to
do
my
want
mom.
to go back and see it and see your people.
Yeah, we never forget our past, our country. We have it in our heart, and our past is in there. Brothers and sisters and uncles, they are living in there. That is my country. Yes, it's
and
my.
Texas is your home now.
And Texas is my home. When you come, you find friends, and among those friends, there are those who will become like your brothers and sisters.
Sure.
And you will also find your moms, those who are on the same age like your mom, and who will take care of you. They are compassionate, and you will feel like you are at home in your country, but you don't really forget
Because it's your country.
your past.
Sure.
Yes.
That makes sense. Is that something you see at MRC, or are people wishing they could visit, or do they try to visit?
Yeah, definitely. And a lot of them don't get to. But they miss home, and they are eager to share about their culture. And with that whole integration and acculturation, what I hear with integration is you are gaining some of the culture and sharing some of your culture as well. You're learning about each other, where acculturation feels more like you're
A split.
like you're getting something at the expense of something you already
losing
have.
something else.
Exactly. Yeah, and I mean, many of those refugees, they miss home. Like as he mentioned earlier, you don't get to choose where you go, and many of them probably wouldn't leave if they didn't have to.
Well, that was actually off camera. I want to bring that up. We had a Facebook question that asked, what was it about America that made you want to come here? And I asked you that off camera, and you said, I didn't choose America, not that there was anything wrong with America, but that you chose to leave Burundi, and your paperwork was sent to multiple countries, and America chose you.
Chose me.
And is that common for most refugee experience?
Yes, this is what most of Americans don't know.
I
They
think that's an
think that
important thing to
refugees
point
are
out.
choosing to come in here, but they are chosen by
By
the US.
Our country has chosen the people
the
that are
US
coming
government,
here.
and they come to you. USIS come to you for interviews and for fingerprints, for many things.
And to learn about your background and
Yes.
why you want to leave.
And then they will decide when you will leave your second country, because
Sure.
it's many steps.
It's a long process.
Yes,
I
so
understand
yes,
that.
they will come to you. You never choose, and then sometimes they will say you're not our candidate. So among refugees, like 3% are chosen to come in here. Others are refused to come.
3% are chosen for America? Is that what you
Yes,
mean?
when they come
Only
to you,
3%
yes,
of
they will
Africa.
make sure they know who you are and your past.
So where are people coming from? You're from Africa. Many people come from Africa. I know we had a potential guest coming who was from Iraq. I know that you work with many people from South America and other countries south of the United States. Where are people coming from in general?
Yes, most of them are coming from Iran and Iraq and Africa.
And they go through those same
Afghanistan.
processes that you described, right?
They are different systems.
Okay.
Those who are from Afghanistan come on a visa. It's a system, so it's a convention between US and Afghani government, or those who want to move to here. Those who have been working with the US Army are mostly targeted by the other people
other
from
side,
they
sure.
can be killed, and US government will try to take
So
them
did you
from that.
encounter any negativity, and I'll ask both of you as well if you are aware of this, but when you arrived, not just in Texas, but in America, did you have to deal with negative feelings towards you purely by being a refugee, regardless of your background, people assuming things about you because you're a refugee?
Most of them don't know who you are. And when I'm working on the Congress Avenue, nobody will know
Nobody's
if I'm
asking,
not
"Are you a refugee?"
American or refugee. But when you talk, because of your language, and you can hear the way you talk, and then they will say, wow, where are you from? What's your name? And from your name and where you are from, they will know who you are. But most of the time when they see the way you are wearing your clothes, if
You're
you
not
have a
standing
hijab
out,
and
sure.
some stuff like that, they will know that you're not from this country. They will say, probably from Afghanistan, Iraq, or Sudan, like this. So, yes, from your language, the way you...
Was it something you had to overcome, or is it something that you embraced and
Yeah.
other people embraced?
Yeah, me and other people are facing this issue.
How do you deal with that at Todos Juntos to help people not just prepare for that, but overcome it and get past it?
You know, most recently, one of the things that we face, like you mentioned, if you're wearing a hijab, then yes, you're more. People make assumptions. One of the things that we encourage our students, and we do have students who've come to us who are Iranian, Iraqi, or even Sudanese, and what we tell everyone is, you know, come in and learn the language, be a part of your community, be active in your community. That's the best way to integrate and blend in versus calling attention to yourself. And we've heard some students who say, you know, one student comes to mind who said, I didn't leave my home for 4 days earlier this year.
Didn't leave home for 4 days?
4 days. My
Wow.
entire family did not leave our house for 4 days.
In fear?
In fear. And every day we're told something terrible. Every day I hear something awful. And she actually shared a story that one day recently she was at the grocery store. It was probably in February. She was at the grocery store and a woman started following her. And she was worried. And she said, I was very anxious. And the lady tapped me on the shoulder and I just thought I was going to crumble. And she said, I just want to tell you how thankful I am that you're in this country and that I stand with you. And she said, and I just burst into tears because I was so scared she was going to say something else, because I'm more accustomed to the something else than those positive words that she shared with me that day.
I'm so glad you shared that story too, though, because there are many people that would feel the same way.
Yeah.
I believe that. And
well, and I think it's important to highlight again what you said about most people wouldn't leave their countries if they didn't have to.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like it's a choice high on their list.
And you know, Flor, something that we talked about before the show was the misunderstanding in communities, not just in Central Texas, but across the country and in other countries as well, that refugees are somehow a drain on our system, that because they are getting services, veterans maybe aren't, or disabled people maybe aren't getting services. And could you talk about the way that MRC views that as an and, not an or, that it's an additional service group and not something that other people are losing services because of what happens for refugees?
Right. Yeah, they're definitely not a drain on our economy. They do pay taxes once they start working, and most of them get a job within 3 months of their arrival because they have 6 months to get a job before the funding is cut. So they have a really small margin to get it in there and get a job. So most of those jobs aren't always the most dignifying jobs or the jobs that really pairs them up with their skills.
I felt you shaking your head. Yes.
Yeah, but they're getting out there and doing it because they have to. And so MRC, what we try to do is help them, realize like you have a lot to contribute to our community. You're already paying taxes, but let's help you find a job that's meaningful, dignified, and important to our community. And so they're getting jobs immediately and paying taxes, and
that's an important point. I think a lot of people don't realize that they pay taxes, that you pay taxes.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to say they like you weren't sitting here. Well, I think this has been a really helpful conversation. I've actually learned quite a bit, not just from you, Desiree, but also from both of you, Flor and Christina, because I came into this conversation with misunderstandings. I thought that you would have chosen America. That's probably my own American arrogance, but that's an important lesson, and I had no idea that taxes were an issue, and it's all important for us to know.
There is a category of people who choose to come. Those are asylum seekers. They go through another kind of process when they come here. Yes,
stringent.
Most of them are from Africa and even European come here. They go through another kind of program. So when they come here, they choose to come here
But they also have to be chosen
and
by
they will
our country.
they choose to come here.
Yes.
And then they will be chosen when they are here. If
Yes.
you are not chosen, they will
Send you
deport
away.
you. They will send you back.
Very important information.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate all of your time. I want to thank Desiree, Christina, and Flor for their words and their wisdom today. And you can help us keep the conversation going on Facebook at facebook.com/Civil Society TV. And to learn more about my guests today and their organizations, please go to our website at nonprofitaustin.org/Civil Society. That's all for today. I'm Julie Niehoff. Thanks for watching Civil Society.